Om. 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 Sahana bhavatu. Sahana bhunaktu. Sahaviryam karavavahe. Tejasvinavadhetamastu. Ma vidvishavahe. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam everyone. We have been looking at the introduction for Narada Bhakti Sutras a couple of weeks ago. Today we will start the study of the Narada Bhakti Sutras. Sairam. Narada Bhakti Sutrani. Narada Bhakti Sutrani. Narada Bhakti Sutrani. So these are the sutras on devotion by sage Narada. There are 84 sutras. They're divided into multiple chapters by various different people, different sages and saints who have commented on them. They have tried to categorize them. I have used one which is one of the categorization. We will go with that. Okay. Prathamodhyayah. 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 This is the first chapter. Prathama means first. Adhyaya, I think it can be loosely translated as chapter. There are multiple meanings you can give for the word adhyaya. That means it's a study, actually. But for our purposes, it will be first chapter of Narada Bhakti Sutras. Whoever has categorized this, they have given it a title. Para Bhakti Swarupam. Para Bhakti Swarupam. Para Bhakti Swarupam. Para means transcendental, that which is beyond, that which is not of this world. Bhakti is devotion. Swarupam is its real form, or it can say nature. So I have given a translation of the real nature of transcendental devotion. So this chapter describes that the real nature of devotion itself. The definition of, you can say, of description of bhakti, the transcendental devotion. We look at the first sutra. Athato bhaktim vyakhyāsyāmah. Athato bhaktim vyakhyāsyāmah. Athato bhaktim vyakhyāsyāmah. There's a numbering here. I'll just explain that also. 1. The first count is the count of all the sutras in serial order. The second 1 and 01, as you can see in the translation, which means the first chapter, first sutra. So that you can look at how it has been classified. The first number is all the sutras are numbered 1 to 84. The other one is each chapter, what's the number of the sutra in each of those chapters. Let's look at the split of the sandhi of this sutra. The first word which we read, athato, is composed of two words, atha and ataha. Atha and atha, the tha and a join to make a longer a, so tha. So atha, and this taha, the visarga, becomes u, and because of that it becomes to. Okay, so those are the two sandhi splits. The other words are independent, bhaktim and vyakyasyamaha. There are no changes due to any sandhi in those words. We will look at the meaning of these words. The word atha, I'm taking the word thereafter. Okay, so there are many meanings given to the word atha. I have an excerpt from Swami's discourse, so we can take a look at it. Swami has given various meanings, and Swami has chosen afterwards for the word atha in a different, slightly different context, but it is also relevant here. Okay. Atha means after something, thereafter. The next word is ataha. Ataha means hence or for a particular reason, for this reason. After that, for this reason, okay, bhaktim. Bhaktim is the second vibhakti or the second noun form of the word bhakti, which basically means it's an object. Okay, that the subject of bhakti, devotion. Vyakyasyamaha. Vyakyasyamaha. This is a verb, which is a verb, a plural verb of the first person. Okay, because of the ending. Okay, so in Sanskrit, the verbs will denote which person it relates to and what tense and what's the number. All that can be seen in the verb itself by the ending of the verb. So the meaning is we shall explain in detail or we shall expound. Okay. So the sutra says, the sutra is, we shall expound in detail devotion after something for this reason. So it's a very cryptic statement. In most of the sutras, like if you take Brahma Sutras by Sri Vedavyasa, he will start with Athato Brahma Jijnasa. So this Athato is generally given in most of these type of works in terms of sutra. Because what they mean is they come in between something. Something has preceded it and something is the goal. To connect both these sutras are given. So any form of study starts because of some reason. Maybe there's a question, maybe there's a seeking. So that has to happen first, and then someone has to be qualified for that. Someone should have the prerequisites, and then they can study something, and through that study they will reach gain something at the end, or something will result. So all these sutras actually they're connecting. So you can see the Narada Bhakti Sutras are the threads which connect something which starts and something which ends. So that way also it can be taken. We will look at a few excerpts of Swami's discourses to understand it a little more. So this Swami's discourse. I have picked it up in terms of discourse of Swami, where he's talking about the Brahma Sutras of Vedavyasa. But I picked it up only because of the word atha and atha. So these four words, atha, atho, Brahma Jijnasa deserve careful study, for they contain the very essence of the four Vedas, and their teachings meant to help the Jijnasa, study of Brahman. The Atma, which is divine self, principle in its universal aspect. The word Atha has many meanings: auspiciousness, afterwards, in the beginning, questioning, universal, etc. But the meaning afterwards is most appropriate here. After what? After acquiring the requisite qualifications is the answer. So I had picked it up only for the second part of the uh, excerpt, which where Swami says Atha means after acquiring the requisite qualifications. Okay, because we are trying to study the topic of bhakti, but so we need to know what the prerequisites are and what's the reason for us to study this. This has to be clear. And as Swami says, in the with Athatha Brahmajnana, the entire Veda is contained. So here also we can say the entire bhakti is contained in this line. What are the prerequisites and what is going to be achieved? For what reason we are studying this? For which Narada Maharshi has expounded it. Okay, so there's another excerpt of Swami's, which will tell us about what are the prerequisites. The prerequisites are very minimal for bhakti. Anyone can study. But even though anyone can study, there are some prerequisites, basic prerequisites required for bhakti, unlike the other paths. So Swami is explaining. One must realize in this body itself, before death takes its toll, the eternal truth and the relationship between man and that truth. I'll just pause here because recently Padhyam was also published where Swami is telling when the body is there, we should understand that death is certain. The transient nature should be understood. So the same thought is also mentioned here. I will repeat again, reread again. One must realize in this body itself, before death takes its toll, the eternal truth and the relationship between man and that truth. The Kathopanishads exhorts, Uttishtata, Jagrata, Prapyavaran Nibodhata. Rise, awake, get initiated from the great. Those who are agitated by doubts about what to accept and what to reject, those who are blinded by illusion, those who cannot distinguish between darkness and light, death and immortality, all such should approach great persons who can show the path to understand the eternal truth, the self-illuminated basis of all creation. Then this world and heaven both will be merged in the same effulgence. For the sake of this realization, man should have deep yearning and hard disciplined practice. This human birth itself is the consequence of countless good deeds, and it should not be cast aside. The chance must be fully exploited. As the Kena Upanishad says, Nache diha vedin mahato vinastihi. The jewel in the hand should not be dropped aside. When there are many chances of saving oneself, Is it not a big loss if no thought is spent on ways of escape? For all those who are really animals in human form, slaves of pride and animal traits, this awareness in time is most important. Delay is fruitless. It'll be as silly as starting to dig a well when the house catches fire. Therefore, the discriminating individual will endeavor by all means at his disposal to understand the underlying principles, to master the teachings of the great men who practice the spiritual path, and to bring all this as much as possible into the ken of one's own experience. Without this effort, if one discards the path and wastes his life, it is an insult to the very name of the species. Instead of getting enslaved to the evanescent and the false and wasting precious time in their pursuit, dedicate every minute to the discovery of truth, the contemplation of the everlasting, ever true Lord. Such dedication is the real function of the soul. The spending of time in illusory appetites, on the other hand, is the drag of the world. One should not fall a victim to the poisonous attractions of worldly luxuries or the vials of seductive beauty. One day, all these fascinating scenes will vanish as a story unfolded in dream. Whatever happens to man, education and the rest, to make him grow and become big, these are of no use for his spiritual progress. They bring about only his spiritual downfall. That is why this is Maya Prapancha. Truth in whatever Maya it is immersed, will only shine more effulgently. For such is the nature of truth. How can we say that the objective world, undergoing modifications every minute, waning and wasting with the waywardness of appearing and disappearing, is eternal truth? So the characteristic of a sadhaka is the attainment of truth. Not the search of the unreal, not the search of the unreal in this evanescent world. In this false world, there can be no satyachara, true living. There can only be mithyachara, unreal living. True living consists in the realization of the Lord. This must be borne in mind by every man, every moment of his life. I will read a little more excerpt, then we can just spend a few minutes discussing. So the previous excerpt is from Prema Vahini, one of the chapters. I've given the description. Sorry, I think I should. Prema Vahini, chapter, A Good Character is a Jewel of Human Life. That's the title we given in the original publication a few decades ago. There have been some revision to this Prema Vahini, and I think now people have taken each paragraph and given it a number. So which is what is available today, sometimes online. So I've given that reference as well. It's the 57th and 58th points in that new version. Let's continue to read the next one. This is also an excerpt from Prema Vahini. The sadhaka should note the distinction between the conduct of the natural man and the aspirant. Sahaja, a man, which is natural man, is one without sahana or fortitude, with ahankara or conceit. The one who is full of desires relating to Jagat, changing world, by which he is trying to have a contented Janma, birth. The sadhana man is he who is engaged in Sarveshvara Chintana, contemplation of the Almighty, as ceaselessly as the waves of the Sagara or sea, who accumulates the dhana of equality and equal love to all, who is content in the thought that all is the Lord's and nothing is his. The sadhana man will not, like the sahaja man, easily bend before grief or loss, anger or hatred, or selfishness, hunger, thirst, or fickleness. One should master all the above things as much as possible and journey through life in fortitude, courage, joy, peace, charity, and humility. Realizing that the tending of the body is not all important, one has to bear patiently even hunger and thirst and be engaged uninterruptedly in the contemplation of the Lord. Instead, quarreling for every tiny little thing, losing one's temper, becoming sad at the slightest provocation, getting angry at the smallest insult, worried at thirst, hunger, and loss of sleep. These can never be the characteristics of a sadhaka. Rice in its natural state and rice that is boiled, can these two be the same? The hardness of natural rice is absent in the boiled one. The boiled grain is soft, harmless, and sweet. The unboiled grain is hard, conceited, and full of delusion. Both types are jivis and men, no doubt. Those who are immersed in the external illusions and avidya maya are men. Those who are immersed in internal illusions or vidya maya are sadhakas. And God is immersed in neither, devoid of both. He who has no external illusions becomes a sadhaka, and when he is devoid of even internal illusions, he can be termed as God. Such a person's heart becomes the seat of God. Therefore, it is possible to deduce that all is pervaded by God. Though, of course, the Lord is situated in every heart. Sadhana is necessary so that they may discover it for themselves, isn't it? It is not possible for us to see our own face. We must have a mirror to show us its image. So too, a basic marga or path, a sadhana method is necessary to become devoid of gunas, human characteristics and qualities. So this is Prema Vayani chapter. Swami is talking about Sahaja Marga, Sadhana Marga, not the same. In the new version of Prema Vayani, it's number 59. So as we can see, Swami has told us what should a sadhaka have. One should understand the futility of the external world. One should realize the benefit of knowing the Lord, which is the one which will grant us permanent peace and happiness and joy, which will give us all the good qualities which we can cultivate. And he also says what will result in the previous one. So the reason why we should take up the study, why we should, that's why we are studying the words of Narada Maharshi. Swami himself has quoted here and there. So as the Upanishad says, Kathopanishad, that we have to seek out such great sages and study their words until we should arise and awake. So that's the reason for which we are studying this devotion itself. Okay, so the characteristics which we should try to cultivate, and the reason why we are studying this, should be very clear for us to undertake this study, as Swami has outlined. I will read one more excerpt. By means of prayer, recitation of the name, adoration of the glory, worship, etc., the sins of the past can be destroyed the inner consciousness purified of impulses and urges. Then the light of wisdom will dawn, leading to liberation from darkness. There is great need for readers to ponder this point, for it is through the weighing of pros and cons that valuable conclusions are reached. Consider, for example, the difference between bhakti, devotion, as described in popular usage, and bhakti as declared by the Lord. Popularly, bhakti is described as genuine devotion to the devotion of the Lord, but it connotes much more than this. Devotion to the Lord is only a form of discipline to reach the goal. Seekers should not stop with the acquisition of devotion. They should pay attention not so much to the devotion or love that they have toward the Lord, but to the love and grace that the Lord bestows on them. They must be always eager to find out which behavior, what acts of will be most pleasing to the Lord. Will fill the Lord, that's the actions will fill the Lord with bliss, Ananda. Inquire about that, yearn for that, carry out the things that will secure that objective, be engaged in acts conducive to gain it. That is real devotion, bhakti. But people generally do not follow this ideal of devotion, nor do they think about its implications. They pay attention only to the love that the devotee has to the Lord. And in the process, they do not pay much attention to the dharma and action that the Lord approves or appreciates. This is why Krishna says, action that pleases the Lord is superior to action that fulfills the yearnings of the devotee. Whatever devotees do or think or plan or observe should draw down the grace of God. Devotees should not be subject to their own will. They should be in accordance with His will. Devotees must test every thought and feeling on the touchstone of the Lord's declared preferences. Okay, and one last excerpt. Yajnas are designed to lead you to the one who is unchanging and eternal. Yajna is yajna. Yajna refers to the one who is the basis of the entire cosmos. Jna refers to the quest for knowing that one. Yajna, therefore, is the quest for discovering the one who sustains the cosmos. How is this search to be made? The Veda has declared, permeating everything inside and outside is the Lord Narayana. Where can you search for the Lord who is omnipresent? Why search at all? The sages performed severe penances to get the ultimate reality. Finally, they declared, Vedaham etam purusham mahantam adityavarnam tamasaf parastat. We have known the supreme Purusha, who is effulgent like the sun and is beyond the outer darkness. They declared that the Supreme Lord is beyond tamas. This means that the Lord is beyond tamoguna. To experience the Lord, we have to get rid of our tamoguna, the darkness of ignorance. The Lord is beyond the veil of tamas. When the veil is removed, the Lord can be seen. When one is filled with tamoguna from head to foot, how can one experience God? One is not prepared to make any sacrifice. With a mountain of desires in his heart, a devotee offers a petty coconut to the Lord. This is not the way to pray to the Lord. This is not devotion. This is not love. To seek a favor is not a prayer at all. Only a selfless person can engage himself in service to society. Only such a person is entitled to serve God. The first prerequisite is the spirit of sacrifice. This can be developed only through love. The person filled with love is ready to make any sacrifice. The person without love will not be willing to make any sacrifice. God does not dwell in any particular place. You are God. When you get rid of the body consciousness, you will realize your divinity. So this is a discourse from October 9th, 1989. All these excerpts give us the reason, what should be the prerequisite, and what do we attain. And for this, to connect these two, or to fill the gap between these two, the sutras help. And that's why we are studying this, not for any other reason. It's a good opportunity for us to study what Swami has taught. So we are studying actually what Swami has taught. But we are using the lens of Narada Bhakti Sutras. There are hundreds and almost thousands of discourses of Swami where Swami has talked about devotion. So it's a great blessing for us that Swami has given us this opportunity to study. And may he bless us that we don't fritter it away and really benefit from it. Okay, Saira. We'll go to the second sutra. There's so much actually contained in whatever I've given. That's the reality. Because we can just discuss Athato for a few lessons, but I've given the material and the references you can study and contemplate. And I'm sure Swami will help you understand and take us all. That's what I will also do. Okay, Sai. We'll go to the next sutra, the second sutra. Sa Twasmin Parama Prema Rupa. Sa Twasmin Parama Prema Rupa. Sa Twasmin Parama Prema Rupa. I should spend time on, I think the previous one I forgot to talk about pronunciation. Maybe I'll just quickly go back for anyone who's interested. I should have, so here, Prathama. Okay, Narada Bhakti Sutrani. I will go back to this. Narada Bhakti. The Bha is aspirated consonant. The fourth letter or fourth consonant in the Pa Varga. It has to be aspirated. So it has to be pronounced as Bha. Okay. Narada Bhakti Sutrani. So pay attention to that. Prathamodhyaya. The Pratha, the second letter, Tha, is aspirated because the second consonant in the Tha Varga, or third class of consonants. So it's Tha, Prathamo, Dhyaya. This Dha, in the half Dha, in this Dhya, is the fourth letter in the Tha Varga, third class of consonants. So it has to also be aspirated. So Tha is the second and the Dha is the fourth in the third class of consonants. Both have to be aspirated. Prathamo Dhyaya. Okay. Then Parabhakti Swarupam, in that the Bha is the aspirated consonant, just like the Bhakti. The Bha is the fourth letter in the Pa Varga, Pa class. It has to be aspirated. In the first sutra, Athato, the Tha is the second letter in the Tha Varga, so it has to be aspirated. Athato. Bhaktim, we have already looked at Bha. Vyakya. This, it looks like Ra actually for anyone who's Ra and Va, but it's Kya, Ka, which is the second letter in the Ka Varga, or Ka class of sound, consonants. It has to be Vyakya Syama. Okay, so I thought I'd just mention that. We'll go to this one now. Sa Twasmin Parama Prema Rupa. There are no aspirated consonants, so we don't have to worry. We look at the Sandhi split. Sa is Sa, no change. Twasmin is made up of two words, two and asmin. Okay, tu and asmin. Tu becomes twa. U plus a always becomes va. So that's the tu and a becomes twa. Twasmin. Karma prema rupa is just one word. It's a samasa. But I have separated each of the distinct words so that we can look at the meaning. Parama prema rupa. Parama prema rupa is one word, compound word called samasa. If you look at the meaning, sa, in this case, it's that. So the word sa is actually a feminine word. It can refer to a person, female, or it can refer to a feminine concept. Okay. In this case, bhakti is being described as a woman. It's a feminine nature. So sa, which means that. Okay. The next word is tu. Tu also gets different meanings depending on the context. It can be but, then, and so on. There are many meanings depending on the context. But the meaning which I have taken is indeed, which is emphasis. Sa tu, I mean, indeed is the meaning I have taken here. So this indeed, that is bhakti indeed, asmin. Okay. Asmin means in this. Okay, which is the seventh noun form of the word. Okay. Which relates to something in this, or in this context, you can say. Oh, in this context of the sutras, in our study, you can say. In the Vyakyasyama, in this exposition, in this indeed. So what is being described in this context? Because Swami has already mentioned bhakti, many people have many interpretations. It's a common understanding, but there's a real understanding. So the real understanding is the context in which these sutras are split. So this indeed, in this context, bhakti is parama prema rupa. Parama means supreme. Prema is love. Rupa is the one who has that form. So in this context in which we are studying the Bhakti Sutras, it is the supreme form of love. So bhakti is the supremest form of love. Indeed, that's a sutra. So we will go through some excerpts of Swami, where Swami is explaining what is the supreme love and devotion. Lord Sridhara is the embodiment of love. He lives in love. Love is his divine form. His love is pervading everywhere in the universe. Love is the Taraka mantra, holy formula for liberation. God cannot be understood without this supreme love. How can you get good thoughts without comprehending this love, which is God? If something gets rated, should be rusted. If something gets rusted, you can clean it. If there's husk over a seed, you can remove it. You can even remove the ignorance from a normal individual. But it is not possible to correct a fool. I'll pause here. There was recently a Padyam also, which a few weeks ago we had put, which is the same thing which Swami is talking about. I will read it again. If something gets rusted, you can clean it. If there's husk over a seed, you can remove it. You can even remove ignorance from a normal individual. But it is not possible to correct a fool. You are all brought here today by bonds of love. It is only love that binds one person to another and one thing to another. The entire world is filled with love. Life devoid of love can be described as lifeless. In love, there are three levels. The first is the best and the highest level, Uttama. Men at this level have full faith and belief that God, who is the embodiment of eternal bliss, is present in all beings without exception. They will have the feeling that Ishvara is present everywhere and in everything in the form of love. For such people, Adveshta Sarva Bhutanam will be the feeling. They see nothing but love in every being. They see no difference between their own people and others. Persons filled with such supreme love will experience bliss. Those at the second level care only for their own good and the welfare of their own kith and kin, their comfort and happiness. They do not care about others, about their merits or their faults. These people can be termed as Madhyama or middle level persons. There are others who don't feel happy if they see others happy. In fact, they grow jealous of others' happiness. They will always be looking for faults in others and criticizing them. They cannot tolerate other people being happy. Thereby, they ruin all aspects of love in themselves. Just as a crow feels jealous when a cuckoo sings well, these people feel jealous of others' attainments. Just as the crow ridicules the swan, these people ridicule good people. They are in the lowest level of love, Adhama. Although love is present in all these three, they enjoy, experience, and use this love in different ways. In every tree of life, love is present in the form of sweet juice in its fruit. But this is covered by a skin called desire. Hence, we are not aware of the sweet juice in the fruit. Only those persons who remove the skin of desire and throw away the hard seeds of anger and jealousy can enjoy the sweet juice of the fruit of love. When one throws away seeds of likes and dislikes and removes the skin of desire, he can enjoy Parama Preva, divine love, which is the Rasa Swarupa, sweetness personified. The Upanishads say that this rasa, taste juice, is Brahman. With a view to experience this bliss, they prescribe 9 types of devotion. So this is a discourse Swami gave during on January 23rd, 1982. So Swami has nicely explained what is this Parama Prema. I had to go through but quite a few discourses and I didn't know which one to pick, so I picked this one. I hope that gives you a sense of what is this Parama Prema Rupa we are studying. We'll go to one more sutra. Amrita Swarupa Cha. Amrita Swarupa Cha. Amrita Swarupa Cha. It's 2 words here actually. The first one is a compound word, and then we have Cha. Okay. The first compound word Amrita Swarupa, there are no, in this sutra, there are no aspirated consonants, so it should be easy to pronounce. Amrita Swarupa Cha. In the first word, which is a compound word, a samasa, has 3 distinct words, which is Amrita, Swa, and Rupa. Amrita, Swa, and Rupa. Let's look at the meaning of this. Amrita means, all of you know, is nectar or immortality. Both meanings are applicable. Swa is own. It also means real. Rupa is form. Okay, Swa Rupa is form. Cha means and or also. So we have already discussed it as What is bhakti? Is Parama Prema Rupa. Okay, already Prema Swarupa, that's already given. Here, he's telling it's being described as Amrita. Bhakti is also described as Amritam, which is nectar. So, and the own form of bhakti, I would say, own form, and the own form is nectarine and immortal. The natural state of bhakti is nectar or amritam, and that which can grant us immortality. That is the real bhakti. Okay, so these two descriptions are given. So let's read some of Swami's discourse excerpts, which in my view sort of expounds on this, explains this sutta. One may be a master of all the scriptures and competent to teach the Vedanta. One may be a great ruler living in a many splendid mansion. One may be a valiant hero who has vanquished his enemies. Or one may be a pitiable victim of poverty and privation. If he has no devotion in him, his life is devoid of meaning. A servant who is filled with love of the Lord is more to be adored than the overlord of the world. Bhakti is service to Hrishikesha, it has been said. Service to God has been described as bhakti. The heart of the devotee flows with love of the Lord through constant remembrance and recitation of his name. Out of the stream of love, devotion emerges. One who is nourished by the nectar of bhakti will have no desire for anything else. To be unaffected by joy or sorrow, gain or loss, praise or blame, to remain steadfast and unwavering in faith is the hallmark of true devotion. Affection, attachment, desire are natural qualities in man. When these qualities are directed towards God and one is continuously engaged in good deeds, these qualities acquire purity and sacredness. Then a man becomes not only a great soul, but can become divine. The devotee is ever conscious that the universe is a manifestation of the divine and is permeated by the divine. His life is based on the recognition of the immanence of God in everything. This state of mind is called Prema Advaitam, unity in love. Through this love, the devotee experiences his oneness with the divine. Enjoying the bliss of this experience, the devotee does not desire moksha, liberation from birth and death. Unremitting love of the Lord is everything for him. Such devotion is known as Ananya Bhakti, total devotion to one and the one only. Yes, sister.
Saram, brother, before you go on with this, please, one thing here. What is that? Where's that paragraph? We have changed the paragraph. Okay. See, so you shouldn't have a desire for moksha.
Yes, sister. The real devotee even doesn't desire for moksha.
They don't think about it, but
Yeah. So when you don't think about it, you won't desire. If you have a desire, you're thinking about it. That's all.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So people merge without knowing them.
You don't need to know. You only need to know the Lord.
Oh, that's a body conscious will has to go away.
Exactly.
Okay, good. Thank you, Saira.
Bhakti indicates that man needs, in addition to the four purusharthas, the objects of life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, a fifth object, devotion to God. Adi Shankara characterized this devotion as the mark of jnana. There is no need to bemoan the fact that one has not been able to perform the prescribed rites or forms of worship. Parama Bhakti, supreme devotion to the divine, encompasses within itself all meritorious qualities. The Puranas consider moksha, liberation, as mergence in the divine. But the bliss that is experienced by constant contemplation of the divine through devotion cannot be got even by merging in the divine. Vedanta has proclaimed that the love of God is moksha. The heart of the devotee filled with the love of God is tender and sweet. Sometime or other, everyone is bound to make his heart shine such a shrine of love for the Lord. With the Lord enshrined in him, the devotee renounces the desire for liberation. Devotion itself will make him one with the Lord. When a drop of water falls into the ocean, it achieves immortality and infinitude. If you hold a drop of water in your palm, it evaporates in a few moments. But when you join it with the ocean, it becomes boundless and one with the vast ocean. Only through love can union with the universal be realized. To a devotee who has achieved such a union with the eternal, everything appears as divine. The Gopikas of Vrindavan were such devotees. They experienced divine bliss through their intense devotion. Like a fish that cannot live out of water, the devotee who is immersed in the nectarine ocean of divine love cannot exist for a moment without the love of God. He cannot relish any other thing. Every part of his body is so much filled with love of God that each organ finds expression in proclaiming the glory of God or rendering service to God. This was the kind of devotion the Gopikas had for Krishna. It was something beyond the intellect and the power of reason. Krishna explained to Uddhava the true nature of the Gopi's bhakti. Because such bhakti is incapable of intellectual analysis, it is dismissed as blind faith. Intellectual inquiry cannot explore what is subtle and can be known only through experience. A Gopika once asked Radha how she felt when she saw Krishna, how her heart responded, what transformation occurred in her, and what joy she experienced. Radha replied, "The moment I hear the melodious flute of Krishna, my heart becomes still. I forget myself. When I learn that Krishna is coming, I am lost in the music of his flute and I am aware of nothing else." How can I describe to you my feelings when I am intoxicated by the magic of his melody? The God intoxicated devotee cannot describe his blissful experience in words. One who attempts to express it has no real experience of it at all. Those who regard themselves as devotees should recognize the vast difference between their narrow-minded attitude and the ineffable character of true devotion. They should resolve to shed petty attachments and develop steadfast devotion to God as the main object of their life. For this purpose, the company of good is essential. Good thoughts are promoted only through association with the good. This means avoiding contact with evil-minded and the unrighteous. Association with bad persons make even a good person bad. There are classic examples of evil consequences of associations with the bad. Kaikeyi in the Ramayana and Dharmaraja in the Mahabharata are examples of persons who suffered grievously because of their association with evil-minded persons. Manthara in the case of Kaikeyi and Kauravas in the case of Dharmaraj. Everyone must strive to fill the heart with true devotion. Constant contemplation on the form of the Lord and frequent repetition of the Lord's name are the means by which the heart is filled with the love of God. When there is this love, the devotee is filled with inexpressible ecstasy. It was out of such ecstasy that Kulasekara Alvar, the royal saint, exclaimed, "O Lord, people talk of moksha as the means of redeeming life and getting rid of birth and death. I do not ask for such redemption. I shall be content with loving you and serving you in countless lives. Allow me to love you and serve you. That is the only blessing I seek from you and not moksha." The universe is permeated with love. It is the embodiment of Vishnu. There's nothing in the cosmos, no place in it where he is not present. To regard the universe as a manifestation of God and to experiencing it as such is real devotion. The sage Narada was the supreme exponent of this doctrine. He observed, "Tyago bhavati tripto bhavati amrit atmaramo bhavati." The lover of God renounces everything, is supremely content, is immersed in the bliss of the self. Endow me with such love, O Lord. Man today is behaving with less gratitude than what birds, beasts, and even trees display. He is ungrateful to his parents, teachers, society, and even to God. He makes a parade of his adherence to truth, righteousness, peace, love, and ahimsa, but does not practice any of them. Why is this so? It is because of intense selfishness and preoccupation with one's own concerns and interests. Only when man sheds his selfishness can he turn his mind towards God. The love of God will dispel the ignorance and conceit of man as the sun dispels the morning mist. The heart is the seat of love. That love must express itself to begin with in the home. From there it must extend to one's village or town, to one's state, nation, and ultimately to the whole world. Love must expand from the individual to the whole universe. We must regard love as God. The different forms attributed to God are products of fancy, but love can be directly experienced. Whether one is a theist or an atheist, a hedonist or a recluse, a yogi or a materialist, he will have high regard for love. Love is the one form in which everybody is ready to accept God. Cultivation of love and achieving universal love through love is the sublime path of love. That is the path of bhakti. To realize the Brahman through continuous meditation on the Brahman is not an enjoyable path for all to take. This was why spiritual teachers like Ramanuja favored the path of devotion, experienced themselves the bliss flowing from the love of God, and propagated the love principle as the easiest means to experience the divine. There have been teachers who have emphasized the karma marga, the path of action, the jnana marga, the path of knowledge, the different types of yoga or other means to realize divine. But the common undercurrent that flows through all of them is the path of bhakti, the path of divine love. This is accepted by all of them. Love is God. The universe is permeated by God. To see God in everything to love everything as a manifestation of God, and to offer everything to God as an offering of love. This is the way of love. This is Swami's discourse from 19th of January 1986. So with this, I will stop. The last excerpt because tells you what is immortality. Amrita Swarupa cha, and why it is so nectarine, so juicy, so sweet, so enjoyable. Only bhakti is capable. And Narada has said, made this statement, and Swami has nicely explained it to us so that we can understand. With that, I will stop. If there are any questions on anything which we read, if I have an answer, I will share. Saira. I guess there's nothing to ask and nothing to say.
Saram Aruna, brother.
Yes, Saira, sister.
I was wondering, there's this one part that you just read where the devotees, who is practicing the supreme devotion, where he's contemplating the name of God and he's living in really the state of moksha. And they say that, is this why? And it also mentioned that every organ is, I can't, you mentioned it somewhere,
Yes,
is glorifying God.
exactly.
So I was wondering, when I don't know, it was Uddhava who wanted to teach the Gopikas a lesson.
Yes.
Krishna wanted to teach him the devotion of the Gopikas. And when he said he had a headache and nothing can cure it, and everybody did all kind of remedies, and he sent him to the Gopikas. It was that kind of transcendental devotion, the way they just take the dust from the feet, say, take it and give it to Krishna. Is that related in something like that?
Yes, sister.
Thank you.
Everything is, yes.
Beautiful, Sairam. So beautiful.
Sairam, sister. Is Auntie Sakhu?
Yes, thank you, Aruna. Thank you for opening our eyes about this devotion, what bhakti means. You have really given an insight to my journey. Thank you. May Baba bless you.
Sairam, Auntie. You should thank Swami, not me. He just created the situation for all of us.
You are an instrument who brought this.
Sairam. Think. Sister Aruna, you raised, but no question, I guess. So I will stop.
Brother, what is really now we are coming to the immortality too, right? So I'm just thinking about that. What is that really then? So Atma, that kind of thing only,
Yes.
that perspective, right?
The real immortalities know that one is Atman. And
Yeah, and that perspective.
Atman is nothing but God.
Yes. Body,
So, but that is not an intellectual understanding, it's an experiential understanding.
experience, everything.
It's just experience. So that's what the Gopikas, as Sister Devi was mentioning, that's what the Gopikas experience. And that Swami has, see, many of these, even we all talk about 5 human values, love, this and that. Sometimes we don't understand what we talk, what we mean. That also, I think, in one of the excerpts Swami has mentioned.
Yes, you can go on.
You can, tell the world we are practicing these values. It's of no use. That as soon as we make that statement, we are not practicing. So Swami has very nicely explained. That's why Swami has, just to tell what is love, Swami has written Vahini, Prema Vahini. But we go with some basic worldly understanding of love, and then we think we are practicing. And so this is the real love. Bhakti is the real love, which Swami is talking about, the 5 human values. And that should underlie everything else, nothing but devotion, supreme love. So Swami has given us an opportunity to study. We should thank Swami. Yes, Auntie.
Thank you, brother.
I don't know, another one thing. Mainly, you have to have obedience. You have to follow all what Baba has told us. No matter, don't argue. Don't even discuss.
That's it.
Accept it as Vedavak.
Yes.
Then you will reach the state Baba wants us to reach. Thank you.
Sai Ram, Aunty, Sai. So I think at this point, I don't think there are any more questions. I think Swami has, you just read it, it's again and contemplate. I'm sure Swami will explain. We'll close with Samastaloka. Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sai Ram, everyone.